Hello, everyone. Good to see you. Uh, I'll begin by reading uh, Shokshu number 9, the subconscious. The conscious mind is composed of material that is taken from the subconscious mind, which is the accumulation of past experiences and knowledge. Let's stop putting minus thoughts into the subconscious mind from now on. It is the storehouse of our minds. Let's maintain plus key and live our lives with an active spirit. So tonight is the 5 principles of sleeping. I'm sure we have all different kinds of sleepers out there. Some have trouble going to sleep. Some have trouble staying awake. All different kinds of issues with sleep during different times during the day, maybe, and also during the night. So we'll try to cover those. First, so I probably should, let's remind ourselves that we could say that all of Toi Sensei's Shokushu and all of Toi Sensei's series of 5 principles really can be all boiled down to one thing, and that is keep one point. In other words, everything is pointed at mind-body unification for us. His solution to everything is mind-body unification. And Toi Sensei says that to us because the solution to everything is mind-body unification, including sleeping. So, recently I was talking about do you remember the stereogram? I think if you're very young, maybe you don't know about them, but if you've been around just a little while, they were very popular in the late part of the last century. And it's basically, I'll just one more time to remind you, it's a picture that has some sort of a geographic form on it, a repetitive pattern of some kind of design that looks just like that if you glance at it. And if you look at parts of it, you cannot see anything else. But if you sit back and look from your one point, now looking from your one point is the same as listening from your one point or feeling from your one point. It's looking at everything at one time. So if you can look at the whole thing, you will see pop out at you a photo of something like a whale jumping out of the ocean, or a deer in the forest, or something like this. Something beautiful and interesting. Well, folks, this is how we go to sleep at night. Exactly. But instead of looking, we use a kinesthetic sense of feeling. So the one point in the lower abdomen is the very center of the universe, but condensed down, it's the very center of our body. And as we get into the principles later on, we'll see that the enemy of sleep is misuse of the mind. And you cannot tell the mind to behave itself. It doesn't respond that way. Instead, we keep one point, or instead, we look at the center of the body. And from the center of the body, we feel our whole body. And when we are feeling our whole body, we are asleep. This is why sometimes when you're meditating, you go to sleep. And this is very fine, no problem at all. I have some students that are actually quite advanced in this department, able to fall asleep when meditating quite often. I won't mention their names, but they know who they are, and they're And this is not a bad thing. If you're so tired that that's what happens, that's fine. If it's not time to go to sleep, you can do the same thing. Look at everything from the one point. You can feel everything from the one point. You can hear everything from the one point. You can see everything from the one point. And when we're in meditation, that's exactly what we're doing. We're paying attention to everything from the one point. In other words, we're resting in awareness, right? So when it's time to sleep, we just rest in awareness and boom, we go out. As you know, as everyone knows, if we have trouble going to sleep at night, it's because we have something on our mind that we are thinking about. Our mind is busy buzzing. So all the blood is in our head, and our head is very hot. We have to keep turning the pillow over because it gets too warm. And all the blood has left the rest of our body, and it's busy in our head, keeping our brain mechanized because it's busy with some kind of problem that it has. So the principles are just showing us how to alleviate that problem, which is so common in us human beings. Okay, so let's take a little time and do some key breathing first, okay? Okay, stretch your body. So let's begin with Sayaka Reasoner reading the 5 principles of sleeping in Japanese, please.
気の睡眠法の5原則。1、統一体になる。2、心が体を動かす。3、観念の移行法を行う。4、頭脳の波を静止させる。5、図鑑即熱。
Okay, thank you very much. All right, so I will now read the 5 principles for sleeping, the old ones, and 5 principles of sleeping, the new translation. All right, number 1, old, always unify mind and body before you go to sleep. Number 1, new, unify mind and body. Number 2, old, believe that the mind controls the body. Number 2, understand that mind moves body. Number 3, old, calm and collect your thoughts before you go to bed. And number 3, new, allow the blood to flow freely to the legs and feet. Very different. Number 4, old, maintain a cool head and warm feet. Number 4, new, let the brain be calm. And number 5, old, use your mind to direct the blood to your feet. And number 5, new, have a cool head and warm feet. So somehow they got moved around in there in that old translation. But it's interesting because it's so different in the way it says the words. Of course, the principles, as you can understand, are the same. So number 1 is always unify mind and body. So this is always the first principle, isn't it? Basically. And we unify mind and body. The 4 basic principles to unify mind and body are keep one point, relax completely, keep weight on your side, and extend ki. You all know these, right? Of course, you've heard them hundreds of times. hundreds of times. So when you hear them again, what's that like for you? Do you think, oh yeah, four basic principles, I know the four basic principles, yeah. I know what they are. So the four basic principles are used by you in your practice to maintain mind-body unification. And the teaching is that we practice maintaining mind-body unification, or in other words, using the four basic principles at every moment, waking or sleeping. Now, if you don't have trouble sleeping, if you're like me, when you put your head on a pillow, you're asleep already. You go sleep. Then you're very fortunate. But most people are not like that. And even for me, particularly when I was younger, when I had a problem that I needed to think about, or felt I needed to think about to solve the problem, you know? And that's like looking at the stereogram at all the little pieces of the repetitive pattern, trying to figure out what it means. You'll never, ever solve a problem by thinking about it, mulling it over in your brain, trying to find a solution. We find a solution by leaving it and keeping one point. Even our famous genius, Albert Einstein, said, it's not that I don't think about things, I do think about things too much, but I never find a solution thinking about things. My solutions come to me at 2 o'clock in the morning when I suddenly wake up and go, oh, that's the solution. In other words, it comes from inside. Somehow it comes from in our mind body, and it arises, so it becomes to our consciousness. It comes to our awareness. But it's almost like a surprise, isn't it? It's like when you remember someone's name that you can't remember, or when you remember, like right now I'm writing another book, and I have many things I'm writing from the old days as I was growing through all these trainings, and I can't think of something. If I try to think about it, it's hidden from me. But I would leave it alone and just keep writing, or maybe lie down, or maybe in the middle of the night I go, oh, that's what it was. Everything works this way for us. It's only held away from us because we try to reach it. Right? So the same thing is true with sleep. That's why Toi Sensei says, mind-body unification first. Then sleep comes naturally. The second one says, understand that mind moves body. Now we changed that from believe that the mind controls the body. The word in Japanese can be interpreted as believe or have faith in or understand or know. But these are not the same things in English at all. Often a Japanese word leaves a lot up to interpretation in other words, in the relative to the other words that are around it. Then you understand how that word is, what is that meaning? So this is the same thing. We don't use, in Aikido, we don't use the word belief. Belief is not the same as faith. Faith is knowing that no matter what happens, everything will work out fine. That's faith. Belief is thinking that things are a certain way always. And it's like we say, if the only tool you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. Well, if you believe in a certain set of circumstances as the reason why you are alive, then everything you see fits into that milieu, fits that belief system. So we don't like to use that because it's very, very limiting. Everything we're doing in Aikido, and this does include learning to sleep, is allowing ourselves an infinite or access to the infinite possibilities of being alive. So our problem is that we limit ourselves by trying to figure out things. So understand that mind moves body. In other words, if we are thinking in our mind about something, why can't I go to sleep? Oh, I'm having so much trouble thinking about that person and what that person said and how should I respond to that? And I have to see this person tomorrow and how am I going to, you know how it goes. We mull over these things in our mind. So naturally, mind leads body. Mind moves body. Mind keeps us awake. As long as mind is habitually running around like a monkey on a wheel, of course, it's keeping us awake. So understand mind, that mind moves body means use your mind to turn your attention to your body. This one thing you and I can do is shift our attention. We can not only shift our attention from one thing to another, but we can shift our attention from being focused on one or collapse down on one thing to including many things in our attention all at once. And that's why I bring up the idea of the stereogram. Looking from one point means feeling your whole body at once, I said. Feeling your whole body at once. So using your mind to look at and the sense of kinesthetic sense of feeling in the body and see it all at one time. If you do that, if that's your habit, like it is with me, then when you go to sleep, you lie down, you just go to sleep because you're in that already. But if that's not your habit, or if for some reason there's some distraction that's driving you crazy, then you'll have to consciously turn our attention to our body. And so the last three of these are really about what to do when we turn our attention to our body. Number 3 is allow the blood to flow freely to the legs and feet. Of course, as I mentioned, when we're thinking intensely about something, it's drawing all the blood up into our brain. It makes our head hot. It makes our upper body hot. Very uncomfortable. Throw the covers back, turn your pillow over, try to get cool, but instead just shift your attention, lie quietly, and shift your attention to your one point. And your one point, then you can feel the energy moving through your legs and your feet out. You can do it right now, just sitting. Feel the energy from your one point, just like we're doing whole body meditation, same thing. Put your attention there and feel the energy flowing through your legs and out your feet and infinitely moving. Very restful. Number 4, let the brain be calm. Well, goes without saying. So our attention is on our body when we're wanting to sleep. And our brain has no choice but to be quiet and calm when our attention is elsewhere. It's when we turn our attention back to the brain, which is cogitating thoughts. So we can only do that when we give it our attention. So we don't. We give our attention to our body by keeping one point. And then last but not least, have a cool head and warm feet. This is the result of keeping our attention in our body. And even if we have a warm head and we've been thinking about something and it's been really bothering us, if we go to our one point and feel the lower body all at once, filled with ki. And our head will become cool and all our blood will go down into our feet and we'll go fast asleep. Okay, well, one other thing. Well, let's leave it at that for now because it's 6:30 and I have to now turn it over to Prakash, who will send you all to your rooms, to your breakout rooms. And then you have 20 minutes this time, as I mentioned in the email. So, and I could only ask one thing, please. Some people are more comfortable talking than others. If you have a person in your group that's not comfortable talking, please encourage him or her to express themselves. So even if you're very comfortable, don't take up all the time yourself, but share the time with everyone. Okay, thank you very much. I will see you in 20 minutes. Monica, tu cosa much time. Okay.
Did we leave too early?
No, you left too late. They're way late.
Oh,
It was supposed to be 3 minutes ago. It was over. But I think Prakash is wrapped up in his discussion, and instead of maybe being monitored, it's okay. We have as much time as we want. Let's see here. Here comes everybody. Okay, are we all back? So I'm interested to know. You don't have to tell me right now. Maybe you can email me or whatever. But I'm very interested to know if the timing works out well for you tonight. So if you think 20 minutes is enough time, or not enough, or too much, let me know. We're just kind of experimenting with this to see what works best. And now, I think I mentioned in the email, you've selected a spokesperson, and that person can either ask me a question or just let us all know what you discussed, what challenges you saw in this subject. But I don't know which ones you are to call on you, so you must speak up. So go ahead, just fire away when you're ready.
So Sensei, do you not want to use the raised hand function?
Yeah, you can call on them. That would be good. I
Yeah.
don't get to see the hand, so.
Okay, lucky friend, can you unmute yourself and ask your question?
Thank you, Raj.
Hello, Sensei.
Hello, Lucky.
All right. My group had Vernon Liu and Kaomi, as well as myself and my sister Rose.
Hi.
Hi, Rose.
Our question was, as you're falling asleep, how do you keep your mind and body unified?
So we have this phrase that I don't like very much on the board for the 4 basic principles. The first one is keep 1 point. So to answer your question, you don't do anything to keep mind and body coordinated or mind and body unified. It's like Toi Sensei described it like the word in Japanese, the phrase in Japanese is dashpanashi. He said, when you turn on a faucet, you don't have to hold the faucet handle. Once you turn it on, it's running. You just can go turn it off when you're through. But you don't have to hold on to the faucet, you know. It's like when you get on the train, you don't have to hold on to the train. You're on the train. And you're not going to fall off the train because you're in the train. So this is very much the same thing. In terms of keeping 1 point or maintaining mind-body unification, once we are in unification, and we say falling or falling into sleep, there is no concern about keeping it going. Now, if you turn the water off, or in other words, if you suddenly start thinking again about that problem that has been keeping you awake, then you have to reset your 1 point. Then you go back to 1 point again, which means go back into, turn your attention back into your body, 1 point being the center of that body, and feel the energy moving through your legs and through your feet. And then again, you'll fall off to sleep. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you very much, Sensei.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Olaf Schubert, Sensei.
Yeah, hi. We were in group 9 with Alexei from Moscow and Jack Friend. So we had an interesting discussion about our sleeping habits and our discoveries. And we have one question that maybe, Sensei, you can talk about your experiences of how to wake up in the morning, since many people have trouble sitting and breathing in the morning because it's just not possible for them. So how is your process of actually how you wake up in your...
Okay. Yeah, this is a good question because I have some people just say, I'm not a morning person. You know, we hear this. And it's true, some people are bright and bushy-tailed first thing in the morning and naturally and ready for whatever comes. And some other people take some time before they're ready for the day. And this is largely, I don't know, maybe having to do with their biorhythms or whatever. I'm not a scientist, so I can't look at it that way. But I can tell you that I'm one of those people that's immediately ready to go. I fall asleep instantly, and when I wake up, I'm ready. Now, I don't always, I usually wake up about 5 o'clock. I don't use an alarm, but I usually just wake up about 5 o'clock. But sometimes I do wake up about 3 or 4. But you know, I don't have a problem. I could go back to sleep, but I like to just, if I do that, I like to lie there. It's like free time. I think, oh, I'm awake, but I'm in bed. My wife is sleeping. I can just enjoy this time. I don't have to be meditating. I'm not going to be meditating. Suzuki Sensei talked to me about this. He called it contemplating. So, and very seriously, not just thinking about something, but that's another category. Thinking about something and contemplating and meditating are 3 distinct different things. So just to, like Shinichi Sensei, maybe you remember, sent out a blog a couple of years ago that was called The Second Sleep. Like, don't take the second sleep. When you wake up, get up. That's it. Don't go back to sleep. Don't take the second sleep. I think that's for people that have a hard time getting out of bed in the morning or something. But basically, I do take the time sometimes. If I have the time, I will enjoy the time to contemplate something like freedom or just the sense of peace or calmness or something beautiful that's just really enjoyable to rest in. Anyway, when it is time to get up, and this is usually, I just wake up and it's time to get up, throw the covers back, turn my feet and put them on the floor and thank the universe for being awake. You know, some morning I might not wake up. So that's, first of all, thank you for, I'm awake, I'm ready to go. I take always a sip of water, and then I go. And I go to the bathroom and take care of morning business, and shaving and combing my hair and getting ready. And and then I dress properly, and I go in my meditation room. And by the time I sit, it's about 5 or 6 or 7 minutes from when I got up, from when I got out of bed. And I'm ready to go. I'm in it already. It's such a wonderful, wonderful, blessing to be able to do just what I just described. To be awake, to be up, to be ready, to be free to go sit in my own little spot, that has I have the Mazakatsu Gatsukachi Hayabi cloth hanging in front of me, and my little cup of water. Oh, that's the first thing I do is I change the water. So I put new water every morning before, and then I sit. And I put a blanket over my knees and I just sit. For however long it works out, it's usually about 45 minutes. And then, because I want to walk in the neighborhood, and then I come back and still have time to have coffee with Lynn and do a couple of little word puzzles we like to do together before she takes off to go to Hokipa and go surfing. So I have to fit the schedule in. So I'm very fortunate that I have a situation like this. So that's the way it works for me. And I think for people that have a hard time in the morning, if they make a schedule, like what I just described, if they have a routine that they do, this will help them greatly. And then I think without even thinking about it very much, they'll become able to sit easily and stay awake. And by the way, if you fall asleep, folks, when you're meditating, that's fine. It's not a problem. It's like when you're meditating, you start thinking about breakfast. That's fine. It's just that as soon as you realize it, you go back to meditating. It's not a problem. It's not bad. It's not wrong. It's exercise. We are exercising. So you come back. So you fall asleep, you wake up. Oh, I fell asleep. Okay, back. Meditate. If you fall asleep again, that's fine. It's not bad or wrong, you know. So that's very important, I think. And if you follow these things, like putting things together that way, it might increase your enthusiasm in the morning. I don't know. Okay, thank you.
Okay, Joni?
Hi, Sensei.
Hello,
We're
Johnny.
group 3. Hi. It was just Jan from Kauai, Roy, and I. It was a very small group. And Roy we got to see Roy, if you notice, he's there, but we couldn't get an audio. So it was just really Jan and I. And mostly, well, I guess my question, and this is more me than Jan, but often sometimes, not all the time, but it's not my thoughts keeping me awake at night. Often I sleep quite well, but sometimes I lie there and I go into my body and I have a lot of extreme discomfort in my hands, and things are going on in my body. And going into my body when I'm lying there and not thinking, nothing else going on, this becomes very, very apparent. That's all there is quite a bit of pain or just extreme discomfort. And I still can have trouble with that, Sensei.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, I'm very sorry to hear that you have this pain in your body. And
Well,
I understand what that's like, because before I had my knee replaced, I had extreme pain at night in my knee, and it did keep me awake. Often it would wake me up at night in the middle of the night when I got locked up. I'd have to pop it out. And yeah, so yeah, if you have something that is, you know, definitely wrong, or let's not say wrong, let's say having some kind of an issue in your body that it causes you pain, that is going to make it difficult for you to sleep. But I think one thing I learned when I was going through the pain of both before I got the operation and after I got the operation, because for a couple of months it was very painful, I learned to keep one point and just, I have to use this same metaphor again. It's like looking at those stereographs, because it's looking at everything at once. If the pain in my knee got my attention, it could get me to collapse down on it, then I couldn't sleep. But even if it was very painful, if I was able to see everything, feel everything in my body, then it was not a problem. So that's an exercise that someone in your case, in your shoes, you have to do that exercise in order to sleep, perhaps, whenever it's bothering you. Sorry to hear
Well, no, it's just what it is, but thank you. Yes, thank you.
that. Okay.
Celine, can you unmute yourself?
Good evening, Sensei.
Hi, Celine.
Hi. In my group, we have Christoph Sensei and Lin Sensei. We have the interesting discussion, but we have one question is, what is the relationship of discipline in meditation and the principles of these sleeping principles? How do we apply these principles to counteract some physiological constraints, such as jet lag, when it becomes a dominating factor? It's when that it becomes something like we don't have control about.
Yeah.
Can you give us some suggestions?
Well, I think, to be fair, you know, I know what you are, your profession is traveling as an attendant on an airline. And so you experience this constantly. Probably you ought to be telling me. But I do also travel, as you know, usually several times a year to different parts of the world. And so I also experience jet lag. And sometimes it's time to go to bed in Europe when it's time to get up in my life. But, and also adding to that, on the way over, I don't always have a full night's sleep on an airplane. I don't know if anybody does. But the way it works out, and we have to stop at airports and then they feed you some food and different things happen. And so the combination of having interrupted sleep, and in some cases, sleep when I wouldn't normally sleep, right? Because it's daytime, but you're sleeping. So then it's nighttime and you arrive and it becomes nighttime. And your clock, inner clock, says it's time to get up, but the sun is gone and it's over there, it's time to go to sleep. So everybody who travels knows these issues. And you know, the only thing I know to say is what I do, which is exactly the same as these principles. In other words, when I wore the same exact thing that I do at home, if when I lie down, I find myself preoccupied with some concern, and the concern might just be, I hope I can go to sleep, you know, because I'm worried that I can't go to sleep. Well, then you can't go to sleep. If you're worried, you can't go to sleep. So I keep one point first. I practice mind-body unification, which means turning my attention to my body and experiencing the whole body at once. Just as I'm saying this, it does it to me. Just right now, I can feel it. So tonight, when I go to bed, that's exactly what will happen. I don't even do it. I just lie down and boom. Because I've just done it for so long, I think. But as I think you said, the answer is in the principles. We follow those same principles. Of course, unify mind and body, and mainly the business of turning your attention to the body, allowing the body to have its way with you, not trying to have your way with your body, but turning your attention. You're like turning yourself over to your body, and you're allowing your body to do its thing. And it knows, we all know, it's dark, it's time to sleep. Don't give me this stuff about you're Hawaiian. It's time to sleep, go to sleep. Body, that's your job right now. So you just turn yourself over to it like that. Does that help a little bit?
Yes, Sensei, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Joel?
Here we go. Hi, Sensei. I was in group 5 with Nadia, Christelle, and Prakash. And we actually had this kind of the same question as the last one about the jet lag, because a lot of us travel and you know, how to handle the jet lag when your body is not functioning the same way. But the second question was little related to that, but in a different way, which is some of us have Zoom classes at different time. that are not normal time. Like at 11 at night or at 5 in the morning or whatever. And it's kind of creating a different rhythm of life, which seems to be tiring, for some. And so the question was, how do you handle those changes of rhythm that kind of affect your sleep time?
Yes. Well, thank you. That's a good question. I'm laughing because when I go to Spain, dinner is at 10 o'clock at night or later. And I'm just not used to that, I eat 3 hours before I sleep, and I sleep at 9 o'clock. So if I eat after 6, I just don't know what to do. So yeah, it's not just sleep, but all the things that we do in different cultures. And I think the idea is great, but I'm not really made, so I know how to deal with that gastronomically. And I really feel for the people who live in the mainland United States, because they're the ones that are gonna be sitting in this class either from 9 o'clock or 10 or 11 or 12, or maybe even at 1 or 2 in the morning, if you want to take this class live and participate in it. That's when you have to do it. Of course, for the people in Europe too, 5 or 6 in the morning may change your rhythm, your circadian rhythm a little bit, because you have to get up even earlier. So because this is a Hawaiian class, I chose to make it. Please excuse me, you have my apologies, but I chose to make it for the Hawaiian people because it was originally taking the place of our training here in Hawaii Ki Federation. And I'm really grateful for all you people on the mainland and in Europe and in Russia that put up with these strange hours to be a part of this. I really appreciate it. I haven't really told you any clues here. Of course, you don't want to go without sleeping. Sleep is important. I think they're saying now you really need 7 or 8 hours. Everybody does every night. So if you don't get that, then you have to find a way to make up for it. You gotta find some nap time in the afternoon. Now, when you're our age and retired, you can have nap time in the afternoon. And maybe in the COVID lockdown, everybody can have nap time in the afternoon. But at some point when you're working and you're out, that's not possible. So hopefully when you're working and you're out, we'll be teaching in the dojo. So and maybe only Sunday morning we'll have a international class. I don't know how that will go, but I can only say that I'm sorry, and please try to make up for the lost sleep. On the other hand, if your habit is in the past was to get up later in the morning, this is a good, what do you call it? Wake up call. This is a good way to train yourself to get up early in the morning. I know you love to hear that, don't you, Toby? Okay, so that's all I have to say about that.
Thank you, Sensei.
Okay, Prakash.
Some of the other groups, no more hands at the moment.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah,
I
Toby.
don't. Sorry, Sensei. Yeah.
hi, Toby.
I don't know how to raise my hand in the virtual room. So sorry for that. I was in a group with Charlotte, Emery, and Merte. Sensei, we had a question about the relationship between meditation and sleep. It sometimes seems that if you meditate a lot, you need less sleep or not. Are there similarities? Is there a difference between sleep and meditation? Because now you said you need maybe 7 hours of sleep. and maybe make up for it. Would meditation make up for that or not? Or could you comment on that?
Okay, yes, yes. This is very common understanding that you can meditate your way out of having to sleep so much. Like Suzuki Sensei really felt strongly about this and taught me that, you know, with him, I had to get up at 4 in the morning, not 5, 4 in the morning, and then sit for 2 hours. And sometimes when we were traveling, it was 4 hours. So there's some time I'm not sleeping, because when you're Otomo for Sensei, everybody's taking you out for drinking and carousing, and you have no choice. You don't get to sleep. And so Sensei goes to bed at midnight or 1 in the morning, you still get up at 4 in the morning. And I had to train myself to do that. And then you're in the middle of a seminar. So there's, but the nice thing about Suzuki Sensei is he religiously took a nap every afternoon for at least an hour. So that meant I could take a nap too. So I don't know. I don't really understand. I mean, let me put that differently. Many people believe, many people feel strongly that you can meditate in the place of sleep and therefore not have to sleep so much. I have never found that to be true. But that's me. And maybe with different people have different kind of, I'm quite sure everyone is different in this way. But for me, Suzuki Sensei swore by it, but I saw him taking his naps too. And I know that when he's at home, he's in bed by 8 o'clock. Maybe he's going to get up at 4 or 5 in the morning, but he's in bed by 8 o'clock. So he's getting lots of sleep normally. But he would often teach that you can, fellas, if you get 2 hours sleep, that's worth, 2 hours meditation, that's worth 4 hours of sleeping, kind of thing. Perhaps. It just never was that way for me. So I cannot recommend it. I think lots of sleep and lots of meditation is ideal. Let's do that. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Ilaria?
Hello, Sensei.
Hello. Hello, Ilaria.
My group was Charles Boyer Sensei and myself. The question that came up was, I kind of brought this up. I fall asleep pretty easily and typically. And when I'm falling asleep, I let my mind relax, but not in an attentive way, like when I'm meditating. And so I feel like the state of mind in meditation and the state of mind in sleep is very different.
Yeah.
We also, Boyer Sensei and I were also recalling like writings and stories about O Sensei and Tohei Sensei being able to be asleep and still be in full awareness and alertness.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So could you talk about
Yeah.
that?
If you're talking about being able to be fully asleep and aware of what's going on in a room, no. Don't believe that. I don't think so.
That was what I was talking about.
Yeah, that's not. So I've never heard Tohei Sensei claim that. Maybe O Sensei said it. But O Sensei also said he could dodge bullets. So, those were things. Okay, I don't want to insult, our great teachers because they're wonderful beings. But in the old days, when nobody had heard of Aikido, one of the ways to get everybody's attention and everybody's commitment was to exaggerate things a little bit. And so We try not to do that now. I don't think I'm free of it, but I do my best to not. I can't dodge bullets, and I can't be aware of everybody in the room while I'm sleeping. I don't think anybody can. Okay, I think I don't know anything more about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Sensei. If I could go back to my first question, I'll try to rephrase it maybe. So at the beginning of class, it sounded to me like you were saying, if you fall asleep easily, you are unified. But for me, I fall asleep easily, but I don't feel like I'm in a meditative state or anything like that.
Yeah, somebody has their, okay. You naturally sleep well. That's a nice thing. Don't question it. Just enjoy it. Okay? Yes, you are in some sense unified if you're naturally falling asleep. Maybe you didn't unify yourself, but you are in a natural state. And that's very nice. So is there anyone else? I'm losing my ability to speak tonight. Sorry. Is there anybody else who has a question? I think we're at the end. Okay, so thank you very much, everyone. I really enjoyed it, and I hope this has been a good experience in the right amount of time for everybody. If you have any suggestions, let me know. Domo arigatou gozaimashita.
Domo arigatou gozaimashita.
Thank you, Prakash.